record button also. Okay, so I just posted the link right here for the reporting. Okay, let me
say right here, where is that?
Oh, on the chat for for this session right now. Okay. The link is also in every single weekly email that I send out. Okay. Right. All right, I'm going to share my screen with you real fast. So this is the document. It's called PC results. Okay. These are the things that we track on the bottom of every page, or on the bottom of each of this document is little tabs for each week of the month, and some past months, as well as a summary for what's going on in October. And I have something called the month comparison, which is, you're free to look at it anytime you want, but this is the document that I tend to look at, which has all of the all the stats added all together, so I can see trends month over month. And I also have my tracking stuff right here. If you look here, this is the stuff that I'm expected to be, that people are watching me for. So I've got two kind of sets of evaluation. One is the listing appointments that you guys go on, the listings taken, the number of units that you close, and the amount of GCI you earn. Okay, I'm also looked at from a recruiting standpoint. I'm expected to do 10 appointments internally each month. Right now I'm at 14, so I'm ahead of goal. I'm expected to do 20 external appointments per month. Right now I'm at 16, although I have 3 today, so I should be fine at the end of the month. I'm expected to gross 7 people into the program. I'm at 6 right now. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I am at 7. I had one person join last night. External gross, we got a couple that are hopefully going to file in before the end of this month. And I'm supposed to net 10, and I'm at 5 right now. Okay. And I'm also tracking my appointments and kind of keeping my eye on a variety of people internally and externally. Okay. So what we do is, let's just go to this 3rd week. There is a document in the Google Drive called the Daily Success List. Okay. This is also in the email that I sent out Sunday. And this is just an example of a tool that you can use. My recommendation is you pull it off the email. It's a Google Doc. You can edit it however you want. So if there's some things that you want to commit to every day, whether it's, working out or dinner with the family or watching a command video or whatever it is, you can do so. And on this page, it prompts you to write in all the people that you're contacting each day, okay, to track all the things that I encourage you to track, which we'll go over in 1 second. And then I have a section for reflections. I have a section for cleanup tasks. When I mean cleanup tasks, what I mean essentially there is these are the tasks, that essentially all the promises that you've made, okay? Yeah, I'll send you that email. Hey, I'll connect you with the lender. Hey, I'll send you a text with the carpenter's name and number. Oh, I'll send you my mobile app or whatever, right? So what promises have you made? And this is a reminder that you need to execute on them, of course, so you don't drop the ball. And then questions down below, what did I do well today, or what did I struggle with today, right? And if you have one of these in front of you every day, then you should have no problem keeping track of the stuff we want you to keep track of. All right, so let's go over to this page here, which is lead generation hours. Okay, what I would recommend you do, by the way, is just bookmark this so that you can pull it up at any time, okay? And each month we go in and we add more tabs for each of the months, okay? So lead generation hours, that is all the time that you spend in client creation mode, okay? That could be social media, in person, phone calls, open houses, anything you're doing to generate business, okay? Practicing hours, that is when you're not in front of your clients and you are practicing. So that could be presentations, scripts, objection handlers, role play with your accountability partner, that kind of thing. Command hours is all of the time that you spend within the command technology system. Contacts, a contact is a two-way interchange with a person. Ideally about real estate, but in COVID times, I'm going to tell you, I don't think it has to be about real estate. Okay, it's just a touch. It's got to be 2 ways. Text, social media would count. Obviously, in person, Zoom would count too. Okay. Database ads. These are people that you've added to the database. Okay.
Bill, can I ask one question?
Yeah.
But right before you go to the contacts. Oh, so contacts. Contacts shouldn't be when we're doing lead generation and the amount of calls as well that you attempt to make. Contacts is only individuals that you actually had to speak to, is what you're saying, right?
That's right.
Okay.
So otherwise you get caught up in the activity rather than the result. Like, you can't pay your bill with the fact that you tried to call 500 people. You can only pay your bill with the fact that the 20 that you reached, 3 of them wanted to do business with you. You see what I'm saying?
So how do you, well, so are we not measuring, like, even if you are doing dials and stuff, so are we not, that's not something that you want to track? It really doesn't matter the amounts of calls that you actually make. It's only counted towards the person that you actually got on the phone.
Well, these are just categories. I mean, I could track, how many times you go to the bathroom every day, but we got to summarize it somehow, right? So these I think are the most important. Now, the thing that's going to factor in, which is almost similar to what you're discussing, is the lead generation hours. So what we're trying to do is, what is the relationship between the number of minutes you spend and the number of contacts you make? So for example, if we run the how to cap in 6 months plan, right, and we know that you got to talk to 11 people per day in order to pull that off, well, then when you come in here, your goal should be 55 people per 5-day week, right? And so the next question is to say, essentially, well, knowing that I need to have 55 contacts, how long is that going to take? So it's not necessarily a function of like how many dials you do or how many direct messages you send. It's a function of time versus result. Time versus result. So if it takes Greta, let's say, an hour and she gets 6 contacts, and Tawantis, let's say you take an hour and you get 11 contacts, well, Greta's calendar needs to look different than yours because it takes Greta longer to do it. So she either needs to practice more, get more experience, I mean, brand new, right? Or talk to a different type of person, right? So rather than talking to her best friends where she's going to be on the phone for half an hour each time, maybe she's talking to some strangers where it could be in and out call. See what I'm saying?
So on a weekly basis on that particular sale where it says contacts, so ideally, what number would you say is realistic for us to be putting in that sale?
Well, to be honest, it has nothing to do with realistic or not. It has to do with what are your goals, right? So if you got to go back and look at your MREA2 doc to say, according to my plan and what I want to accomplish financially, right, I need this number of contacts. Now, what I suggested for the, what essentially is $100,000 earner is 11 daily contacts. Okay, 11 daily contacts.
And
However,
and unique.
What's that?
And unique daily contacts.
Exactly. So if I go to yours real fast, just to give you an example, right? You need 21.
Yeah.
Okay, you need 21 to hit your goals. So that means on a 5-day week, you should be at 105. If you're short 105, your next week should be 105 plus your shortfall. Right.
Exactly. Got
so is that realistic? Yeah. There's plenty of people doing 22 or 21, right? The question, it's not realistic for like the average realtor. The average realtor, quite honestly, doesn't come anywhere close to that. But you don't want to be paid like the average realtor.
Right.
And you're much more talented than the average realtor, right? Gotcha. So what's realistic for you? I don't know. Show me your calendar, right? You're probably gonna have to spend more time generating leads than the average realtor is.
Okay, I understand now.
But with a specific plan, you just work the plan, right? I mean, do you think who worked more on their basketball skill, LeBron James or me?
LeBron.
Yeah. Okay. And he gets paid a lot more than I get paid, right?
Okay.
Makes sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, so database ads, these are people that we add to our database. As I've mentioned before, I believe it's reasonable as a growing owner of a growing real estate business to have 2 new people in your database per day. Question, when you put your head on the pillow, are there 2 more people in my world that didn't know me this morning, but know me now? Right? Okay, appointments set. These are total appointments set, buyers and sellers. Total appointments held, buyers and sellers. There's a difference between set and held, obviously, because you can't pay your bills with set appointments. You can only pay your bills with successful, executed, held, and agreed upon listing appointments. Make sense? But we need to understand the difference between, because there's a fallout. For example, this month, we've set 65 appointments total. We've only held 52, right? Which is, statistically speaking, I'd say the average is around 70%. We're a hair above that right now, okay? So I don't see anything that's really concerning here with these 2 numbers, but we should all understand that 100% of the appointments that we set are not gonna hold. And the reason why they don't hold is they probably weren't ready, willing, and able. You didn't set the appropriate expectations, or you didn't bring enough value for them to bother spending the time with you. Okay. Now I'm guilty of it too. I had, probably 4 no-shows last week. Okay. So you just have to book more appointments. There's no way around it. Okay. Now, one thing I do see here, for example, is of the 52 appointments that we've held, only 14 have been listings. So many of us have in our plan that we're going to have our business 50% sellers and 50% buyers. That's not what's actually happening, right? So what I can tell here is we are not prospecting enough listings. It's simple. We're just not. You see what I'm saying? So I can look at each person's individual data, and that's why tracking is so important. I hate, saying it 18 times a week. Send me your numbers, send me your numbers. But this is what business is all about, right? If you owned a bakery, don't you think you'd need to track your numbers of how much flour you bought or you needed? This is our version, right? Okay, listing appointments held, obviously that's just sellers. Listings taken, just sellers. Contracts written, that is when you submit an offer. Pendings is for buyers and sellers. Okay, seller listing under contract, buyer listing under contract, or buyer property under contract. Pendings, right? Deal went under contract, and it's sold when the closing happens, and GCI earned, that's how much the total commission check was for. If, for example, you pinned a deal this week and next week it's still pending, don't write a 1 again. Just, you only record that stuff once. If it happened during those days, does that clear up all of your question?
It does on that. The only other question I have is when I go to my Google Drive, I'm not linked to the shared drive, and I don't know how to do that.
So the Google Drive itself is shared. I'll work on that.
Personal Google Drive so that I can keep my things separate from the other, and I would like to be able to link it to the KW.
Okay, let me make sure that I have shared the just PC file with you specifically. That
I've got that. It just doesn't, like I was linked before. I don't know how to explain it. So we'll talk about that later. I'll figure it out.
we'll do a share screen a little bit later and
Yeah.
try to make sure that gets handled for you. Okay, cool. All right. Let's do a little bit of role play, everybody. Ashley has volunteered to give her listing presentation today, or really kind of a listing presentation for sale by owners. By the way, yesterday I added a script book specifically for sale by owners. Okay. As you can see, if you read through it, it was primarily written during a buyer's market, but it does have some edits for when the property is a seller's market. Okay. As we can tell, there are some similarities between that and what we heard in Bold the other day. But there is no, like, you got to do it this way or you're never going to get a listing, right? There's a lot of different ways to do this. So I'm going to ask, I think it takes a lot of guts for relatively new agent to get in front of a group of 20 people and say, hey, I'm going to give this a shot. So I want to first recognize Ashley's willingness to do this. And I'm going to be the seller. Ashley, do you want to start with like at the door, or how do you want to, where do you want
Yeah, that's what I was planning on doing.
Okay, so I'll be the seller and you be the agent. And you guys take note of what you see and hear, and we'll do a couple minutes of critiquing at the end, okay?
Okay. Knock, knock.
Hello.
Hi, Mr. Linkwald. How are you?
I'm doing great. You must be Ashley.
Yes, I am Ashley Goodrich with Keller Williams, and I'm here for our 3 o'clock appointment today.
All right, come on in.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to come out here and show you how I can help you sell your beautiful home.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm glad to have you.
Great. Well, thank you so much. And if you don't mind, I'm going to set my things down over here and take a quick tour of the home just to see things from a buyer's perspective. I'll take notes and I'll meet you back here to discuss how I can help you get your house sold.
Okay,
It should only...
You don't want me to show you anything?
You know what? If I go through myself and I can see it through a buyer's eyes that way, I'll take some notes and meet you back here. Is that okay?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, you've been doing this a long time. I guess that's the way it's done.
Yeah, that would be great.
All right.
Okay.
All right,
So
back at
toward
the
the home.
table.
Okay. You have a lovely home. It is beautiful. I really love what you guys did with the master bathroom, the updates, the standalone tub. It's great. It's right on point with the current trends. I think buyers are definitely going to love that.
Cool. Yeah, my wife picked that out. She really liked that.
Yeah, she has great taste. That's for sure. Well, before we get started, I just want to make sure I have some information correct that I got when we spoke before.
Sure.
I think I remember you said you need to move to Chicago. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. We're going to Chicago. Yep.
Is that to be with your ailing mother?
Yeah, exactly. So we're picking up, and my mother is not well, and I want to make sure the grandkids get to spend some more time with them or with her, and you know, we're gonna have to do some doctor's visits and that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's why we're headed there.
Yeah, well, I hate that for you, but well, I want to help you get there as quickly as possible and with as little stress as possible. I know you guys are going through enough already. I know you don't want to have to deal with having to sell your home.
Yeah, I was
be on the
hoping
market
you'd say that. I don't want to be stressed out at all.
Yeah, no, I understand that for sure. And then you also realistically said you believed your house is worth $450,000. Is that still correct?
Yeah, you know, I guess I'm gonna rely on you a little bit to help me with that, but I saw that the home around the corner sold recently, and I think ours is a little nicer than that. So I was thinking we could probably get around 450.
Okay, well, great. Well, when I finish going through what I do to get homes sold, we'll go through some comparables in the neighborhood, and you and I can talk about them. And then ultimately, it's going to be your decision on how we price the home. But I just want to give you some guidance, and we'll come to some kind of conclusion together.
Great.
That sound good?
Yeah,
okay, great.
Makes sense.
Okay. Well, I'm going to pull up my PowerPoint presentation, and can I share my screen?
I'm doing that right now.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, hold
on. Ooh, that's fancy.
Thanks. Okay, so I'm just going to go through a few things quickly, and then we'll talk about some comps.
Beautiful. All right.
Okay. Well, I don't know why you can't see the top, but well, oops. Hold on. Okay. Well, I wanted to introduce you to the team. I'm Ashley Goodrich, as I mentioned before. I'm a knock home swap certified agent, which is just a program. I don't think it really applies to you, but it's a program that I'm certified to sell. I'm an Atlanta native. I spent most of my life here in Roswell, and then went to school in Sandy Springs and Brookhaven. So I pretty much know the metro Atlanta area like the back of my hand. I was licensed in 2010 and have recently joined Keller Williams of Roswell. because I want to be able to help people like yourself. Our team leaders, Aubrey Bailey, my productivity coach is Bill Lincoln. You.
Okay.
The lender is Kathy Vitale with Shelter Mortgage. We use O'Kelly and Sorhan. Typically, Kern Swartz is the attorney that we deal with. The professional photographer that I tend to use is Keegan Kewen, and professional stager, if we need that, Lois Bourne with Collection Home Staging. And since your children go to St. Jude, I have agreed to give 1% of my commission back to the school, just as a, I
love that.
Helpful thing. And I just wanted to talk to you about, my philosophy in real estate is to help people. I want to help you get the most out of your house that you possibly can. And I'll do that by determining what your wants and needs are, and what your expectations are of me. I will always be honest with you. I will communicate regularly with you, and get back to you with any questions that you might have. Okay. I want to get the highest possible price for you in the shortest amount of time. I'll advise you, like I said earlier, on pricing your home and staging if we need that. I'll implement a comprehensive marketing plan to get your house exposed to as many other agents out there as possible and other people out there who are looking.
Okay.
I will coordinate the home showing process with your family's needs in mind. I'll present you with all the offers that we receive and advise you on them, because a lot of them have different contingencies and different clauses that you may not be familiar with.
Okay.
I will negotiate on your behalf for the best offer. We'll coordinate the contingencies and inspections, and then I'll constantly be monitoring the buyer's mortgage and loan process. Okay. I will coordinate and supervise preparing all the real estate closing documents. And for the entire process from start to finish, I will represent your best interests.
Okay.
My particular marketing plan, I plan to pre-market your home as a coming soon on the FMLS and with a sign in your yard. I also plan to pre-market your house through social media. I will then, and these are not in any particular order, but I will place a professional for sale sign in your yard. I'll respond to any and all inquiries right away. I plan to market in both the FMLS, the Georgia MLS system, and then Keller Williams has its own multiple listing service that I plan to utilize as well. And then your listing will also appear on all the other typical sites like Zillow and Realtor.com.
Okay.
I will market your listing in the mobile app on Facebook and on Instagram. Part of my commission will be to take professional pictures of your home. I'll create an open house schedule. I will always collect feedback from those that have previewed your house, both through the open house and through typical showings. I plan to call every agent with a listing in your neighborhood and let them know that we also have a house for sale. I'm going to distribute just listed postcards to all your neighbors. I'm going to target all the active buyers in my database and in my office's database. And our office is part of a group of 3 offices in which I will also target those active buyers. I'll provide you weekly updates on everything that's going on. And then I'll also create special feature cards for different upgrades and things that you've done in your home just to showcase those items.
How beautiful. Like for the bathroom, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And especially things that might not stand out to people right away.
Okay.
So we'll get your house ready to list. Like I said a couple of times, I'll advise you on pricing. We'll go through the different comps, and ultimately it's going to be your decision. But based on what you and I think, when we look at those comps, we'll come to a conclusion.
What do you mean by it's going to be my decision? So if I want to price it at $475, you would do that?
I would. If you feel like after I show you all the comps and we go through the pictures and what upgrades everybody has made, and you feel that that's the price that you still want to list it at, that's fine. We'll go ahead and do that. It may, I'll try and advise you realistically what it will sell for right away. But if you are still set on 475, then we'll list it at that. It may not sell right away. You might have to come to that realization that you might have to lower your price, which is not always the best strategy, because it's that first 15 days when your house is on the market that is critical. It needs to be priced just right. You want to be the Lexus of whatever price segment that you're in. You want to be the best.
That's a great response, by the way.
Yeah,
okay.
Thanks. So there are 5 factors basically that affect the value of your property. Price, which is based on the recent sales that have happened in your neighborhood. Location, that's always a big one. Location. Condition of your property. A first impression is always key. You just never get a second chance to make that first impression. Competition, and those are the current active listings that are in your neighborhood. And timing. We can't do anything about how the market is. If you have to sell your home, you have to sell your home, and you can't manipulate the market. So basically, of these 5 different factors, the 2 that you have power to change are price and condition.
I really like the way you put that together.
Oh, thank you. Do you have any questions for me at this point?
What do you charge?
Typically, I charge 3% commission, and then we offer 3% commission for the buyer's agent.
Okay. I thought commissions were 7%.
Some people might choose to charge 7%, but I typically charge 3% for myself and 3% to offer to the buyer's agent. And of that 3%, a third of it goes back to Keller Williams, to my office. A third of it is on expenses that are used to get your house sold. For example, I mentioned the professional photography, staging if we need it, and any other marketing expenses, printing, just any other expenses that might be incurred, that will also be part of that commission. And so a third of it is just my take home.
For my family.
Okay. So now I have, if you don't have any more questions for me, I do have a few questions for you. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. So what's the most important thing that you're looking for in a listing agent?
I want somebody that is going to communicate with me quickly. And I want somebody that's going to shoot me straight. If I got an ugly house, tell me how to fix it.
Yeah, great. Well, that's definitely what I do. I always communicate every week. I will call you, and if something comes up in the meantime, I will certainly communicate right away.
Great.
And then I'm always honest. I will let you know, if you need to lower your price, if you need to declutter your house, I'll definitely let you know, because I want it to sell quickly for you.
But by the way, do you pay for the staging, or is that something you want me to pay for?
I do. I pay for up to $150 of staging. If you need more than that, if you need to, for example, fill your entire house. If you had already moved out and you had no furniture, that might cost a little bit more, but I pay for the first $150, which would definitely include someone coming out. I don't think that you need it. Your house looks great as it is, but in cases where people need it just to rearrange furniture or recommend removing too much furniture so that it looks clean and neat and flows well.
Got it. Okay.
What prior real estate experiences have you had?
We bought and sold a couple of houses, but I don't have a license or anything.
Okay. And you used an agent those times?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Did you have a good experience with those agents?
Great question, by the way. One of them was pretty good. She retired though, and the other ones were not so good. That's why you're here.
Okay, great. Well, I hope I can help you in a positive way. And how would you prefer to be communicated with? Do you like email, text? Okay, perfect. And how frequently would you like to be updated on the marketing of your house?
The marketing once a week, but I'd like to hear like feedback on the showings as soon as you can gather it.
Great. Okay. I can do that. What is it about the home that drew you to it when you first bought it?
The backyard.
The backyard. It does have a great backyard, a great flat backyard. And what are you most concerned about in this whole process, in the marketing and the selling of your home?
I think my biggest concern is just COVID. Like, what precautions do you have in place to make sure that only serious buyers come and look, and what precautions do you have in place to make sure that like during an open house, for example, that people are respectful of the guidelines and not coming in here without masks and washed hands and stuff. How do you keep the home safe during these times?
Great. That's a good question. It's a very common concern right now with a lot of people. And what I do is I put in the listing that masks are required. I also will provide a stack of masks in case somebody gets the showing and they don't have one. So we'll require masks. If you prefer, we can require booties to put over your shoes if you want us to.
No, that's okay. I never understood what the booties were.
Gotcha. Well, we can provide the mask. We can provide hand sanitizer and recommend that everyone wears a mask. We can also recommend that they don't sit on the furniture or touch anything unless they have to.
That sounds reasonable.
We can also do, if you would like, we could do a tour, a video tour of your home and offer that as well for people that want to see your house, but they can't come out. They might be compromised for some reason. So that's another.
Yeah, I'd like for you to do that actually.
Okay, we can definitely do that. Okay, well, if we come up with a price that makes sense to you to list your home, are you ready to list with me?
Yeah.
Great. Well, the next steps that we have, we'll preview the comps and decide on a list price and a target list date. Then we'll go through and execute the listing agreement. I'll begin pre-listing your home right away. I don't, like I said before, I don't believe your house needs a home stager. So I think just, you might want to have it cleaned before we do the pictures and that kind of thing. But otherwise, I think everything looks great. And if you prefer, we can order a pre-appraisal. It's not required. The buyer's lender will require an appraisal. But we can do that so that we have that in our back pocket. So if we're ever, confronted with, oh, where did you get this price? It's ridiculous. We already have that appraisal in hand. Then I'll send my photographer out. We'll get some photography done and some drone footage. We'll set up showing times within FMLS. I can go through with you what times work for you.
Okay.
Then the listing will go live in the 3 different MLS services. We'll start the official marketing online. Then we'll hopefully get lots of offers and negotiate, win, and close the deal.
I like winning.
Good? All right, me too. Well, thank you so much for your time.
All right.
Okay, how'd I do?
I think you did phenomenal. All right, let's do yeah, there we go. Thank you. Okay, so I wrote you just 1 or 2 things privately.
Okay.
There was like one little misspelling I caught, and
Oh, good. Thanks.
I didn't see it. I may have zoned out for 2 seconds, but did you say that you included the coordinating of all the showings for the buyers?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because that's especially if the person's a FSBO, that's a big deal because that's one of the biggest pains for a FSBO is having to always head back in or head back to the house to show it, that kind of thing. So I want to make sure that's in there. You mentioned calling agents that had listings nearby to let them know that you also had a listing. I might also consider calling agents that had previously done transactions nearby.
Okay.
And obviously that's a step that a lot of agents don't take, and use those phrases like, I go the extra step to not only call agents that have current listings nearby that are receiving calls on their listing, but also agents that were part of successful sales nearby recently to let them know about this listing, because they also possibly got additional, inquiries, and they might be working with somebody who might be a match for your home, right?
Okay.
This is just my own personal opinion, but where you said Kathy Vitale lender, I just make her title seem a little bit more impressive, maybe something like mortgage specialist, something like that.
Okay.
I got to tell you, that was really good. That was really good.
Thank you.
I thought that you were even keel the whole time, right? We rehearsed this a little bit yesterday, but I kind of went a little bit different direction today, and you handled that really well. Your commentary on the commission I thought was really good.
Okay.
I liked how you spoke about it all being about the consumer, for me, rather than like, all of your accomplishments and whatnot. There was probably a time where showing a Chartmaster slide would have been helpful. And maybe not showing it, but at least having it in your back pocket, which you'll see today. So by the way, 1 to 2 o'clock Chartmasters, don't forget that. It's not in here, it's on the newsletter link. Okay, but there's a where you were talking about like the first 15 days of activity. You might want to show some supporting evidence for that.
Okay.
Pull out that one slide or two and say, here's what happens when the home sells quick, and here's what happens when it takes forever, and here's what happens if the price needs to be reduced, and here's what happens if the price does not need to be reduced.
Okay.
Right. And I might show that for the general market overall, and specifically for that price range. There's slides for both of those. Greta, don't worry, you'll hear so much at Chartmasters today, it'll blow your mind as even more than it's probably currently blown. Okay. Just as a while I can make a very valid argument for your stance on letting them pick the listing price, that's not necessarily been my strategy in the past. I do think that now, if at any time in the last 15 and a half years, I would err more towards taking the listing rather than not taking the listing, especially over, $10, $15, $20,000 price discrepancy. I thought that you gave them the power to choose it. You used really, really good words about making sure the decision was a joint decision, and that you would give your professional recommendation, and that it may not end up in their best interest if they start too high, and it would have been even hit home harder had you shown a slide for that.
Okay.
And it was basically like a very subtle warning away from doing that. In this market, I'd rather have the listing. So I think that your strategy is in alignment with that. Okay. Great job. Thank you. Number one, thank you for volunteering. Number two, you put together a really nice presentation. I really like I've got some questions for you. You've got some questions for me. I liked all of that. It's clear that you are prepared to manage Zoom and share screens and all that stuff. By the way, if you do not have a Zoom account, get one. Okay, that's like having an internet connection now. You own a business, get a Zoom account. If you don't like Zoom, tough. Go rake leaves or something, because every professional type job is going to work with Zoom right now. We got no choice. Okay. Who else has some comments or questions for Ashley?
I think she did really good. She did a really, hold on.
You're on. We can hear you.
Okay. She did a really good job. I like how she was calm throughout the whole ordeal because to me, if someone, the personality that she displayed, it pretty much lets me know that she has everything under control. You know, she didn't seem antsy or too excited. She didn't seem like she was trying to sell me anything. It seemed really, really genuine, put together. Her questions were top notch. So I think that the presentation was really, really good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Anyone else want to have any thoughts or ideas?
I have a question. I'd like to know how she's prepared to answer the question, can you cut your commission?
Actually, no, I was hoping you'd do it for 5%.
Well, do you have other agents that have offered you 5%?
I do, yeah.
You do. How quickly did they agree to give you 5%?
Pretty quickly, actually.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm going to spend a lot of time negotiating on your behalf. And if I give up my own money that quickly, you know, what would happen with your money?
If that person gave up their money that quickly.
Yeah, if that person gave up their money that quickly, you know, what would happen? How would you negotiate? You know, how would I negotiate for you if I can't even negotiate, you know, for my own commission? Or if that person, I guess, couldn't negotiate for their own commission, how do you expect them to negotiate on your behalf with your money? So, and I earn every penny that I make. You will see that I work. There are two different types of agents out there. There's, you know, we all are given the same tools, but not everyone works the same. I am one of those agents that works super hard. I will do everything I can to get your home sold. I plan to market it just in so many different places. And like I said before, you know, a third of my commission goes towards marketing your home. So I don't skimp anywhere. You know, the professional pictures I think are just top notch. They will have your house looking like a show house. So, you know, I don't know. I don't skimp on anything. So I wouldn't expect, you know, I just, you'll see that I work really hard for everything I earn.
Cool. The only thing I might add to that is just, it sometimes can come off better if you ask the questions and have them make the statement rather than you make the statement. So
meaning,
for example,
like what?
For example, it would be like, so, gosh, let me ask you a question. Like, do a little acting, right? It's like, God, 5%, really? Okay. I've got a couple concerns about that. Do you mind if I share them with you? Sure. Okay. So, by the way, how quickly did they negotiate away their commission? Right? Embellish it just a little bit. Mm-hmm. Right.
I actually, if I didn't take that approach, I like the side about, you know, I could either say that I work really hard for my commission, you know, or I could ask, you know,
about the statistics.
That, yeah, I can mention that. And then if I ask, like I've also heard people say, you know, would you reduce your salary? You know, if someone asks you in your job or however you say that, I like that one better than the whole like.
That's fine. You can use whatever whatever one you want. But what you just did, did you reduce your salary? That's a question.
Yeah.
And then they would say no, and then the message gets communicated in a more strong way, right? But if you say, you know, I've got a couple of concerns about that, and you know, they negotiated away their income for their family, and they did it that fast. Boy, how fast do you think they're going to negotiate your equity? Is that something that you've thought of? Is that something that's concerning to you? Right? You mentioned that you wanted to take as much money as possible to Chicago. I'm a little concerned that you might take less money to Chicago with that strategy. How do you feel about that? Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And by the way, speaking like that is not natural. Okay. Yeah. Which means it's gonna have to be practiced.
Right.
Right. Cool. Jan, does that address what you were saying?
Hey, Bill, I have a question.
Yeah.
When you come into a situation where if the person wasn't going to Chicago and they're going to be here and they want you to help them find a home too, so they feel as though, hey, you're going to be helping me purchase my home. Do you think that we can do a reduction in my commission, being that you're going to get another full commission there? Is that typically something that is negotiated or understood, like the understanding, or is it still, the same across board where it's not even a thought?
Are you kind of asking me how common is that request made?
Mm-hmm.
I got that request 2 times in my whole career.
Okay.
2 times.
I've gotten it a lot lately, and I've also talked to people who've gotten it a lot lately. And I've also talked to people who've gotten burned on that a lot lately, because they say, oh, well, I'm going to buy my next house with you. So they have given a discount on the listing commission, and oops, guess what? They buy their house with somebody else, or they decide to wait.
Yeah.
So
if I were to do that, I would offer the discount on the second sale rather than the first sale.
absolutely.
One of the times I was asked to do that, it was somebody who had already sent me several additional referrals. So I was more likely to do it. Andy was really nice about the way he asked me. So I was more like, I agreed to do it. And the other time, this wasn't the first time that we had worked together. This was actually like the 7th or 8th transaction we did together. And I agreed to do it under a stipulation that I think I told some of you guys this at one point in the past, that she limit her text to 500 texts during the 2 transactions. I said, the last time we worked together, I looked at my text and me and you texted more than my wife and I texted. That's not going to work. I said, you get 500 texts this entire 2 transactions. And if we do that, you get 2.5%. You go over 500 texts, we're right back to 3%. And she laughed and I said, I'm dead serious. And she said, okay. Now we've worked together many times and we had developed a friendship. So that wasn't, perhaps it was inappropriate, but we're both inappropriate, right? So it worked out. Typically I would never say something like that. Does that make sense? But please do not assume that it's going to happen every time. The reason why you earn 2 commissions is because you do 2 sales, right? That's I'm not a big fan of assuming that is typical, but that's a business decision that you make, right? We at Keller Williams, and we've made a decision in productivity coaching that we split the funds that come in rather than 3% of what the funds theoretically should have been, right? So if instead of getting a $10,000 commission check, you get a $8,000 commission check, the office takes their slice off what you get, and I take my piece off of what you get, not of the 10. Does that make sense? So you're free. By the way, they're very commonly, it's the opposite at other brokerages, just so you know. Okay, including the brokerage I came from.
So question, Bill, I mean, if you were taking a cut, 5% instead of 6, that's a third. Let's be real, because the other agent is going to expect their full commission, and you're going to be taking 1% out of your 3. That's 30%. So out of a $10,000 commission check, you're going to be losing $3,000 plus. And I mean, that's a big ask. A big ask.
Well, here's the thing. It is kind of what it is. It's just a question. When you hear that question, you say, oh my gosh, that's a third of my income. That's a big ask. When they think that question over, they're saying, I want the money, right? I want the money so I can go do whatever I want with the money. So it's viewed very differently. You got to understand that. So don't respond through your lens, respond through their lens.
I've never really heard anybody ask, well, let me ask you this. Would you cut your salary?
Yeah.
And that's huge to me. It's like, oh, well, no. So why are you asking me to cut my salary?
Yeah, it's a little
Yeah.
defensive. Like that's a bit of an aggressive way to handle it. But yeah, I'll be right there. You might say to them, you know, something like, "Hey, listen, if you needed heart surgery, how would you go about finding and paying your heart surgeon?" Right? You just go to the best one you could find, and you, well, not to get into a healthcare debate, but you don't even know what it costs, right? So you just pay whatever you pay. And so what are you going to do? You're going to go to the heart surgeons all over town and ask them how much the surgery is and pick the cheapest one? I
Can I
hope not.
chime in really quickly?
Yeah.
Okay, so in the event that, you know, we do get this question, so there's a meme, and I know this may seem a little bit out there, but it's a meme pretty much saying it shows different pictures of what I wanted or what I asked for versus what I got. And pretty much it's a funny picture. Sometimes I think that if you break the ice, some people can understand it a lot better. So can I share a picture really quickly? The only reason I'm asking, all of this is going to relate. And I think the quicker you put the issue to bed, you can kind of move on and start talking about other stuff.
All right, I'm going to share mine first, and then you can share yours. Okay. See this?
Okay.
There will always be someone who will do it cheaper. Picture of this guy holding, you know, this like horse with wings, and it's real cool looking. And the tattoo artist putting that hot dog looking thing on there. Have you ever seen that?
I haven't seen that one.
Okay. All right, your turn.
Okay, give me just a second.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like there will always be somebody who's willing to do it cheaper.
Exactly, and I just kind of feel I'm about to share it. That when you start cutting corners in the beginning, you know, sometimes it transitions throughout. You know,
Of course
so
it transitions throughout. I mean, you can
like,
even
okay,
bring
so
a
if
copy
it's
of
just
this
like
meme and just put it, the person asked for a
as a
commission
slide.
cut, and you just pulled it out and say, "I'm glad you asked. What do you think about that?" And they'll just laugh, and you just stay quiet. And they'll say, "I guess you're right." Say, "Okay, here, sign me. Would you prefer to sign in blue ink or black ink?" Yeah, exactly.
One that I've always used is where if oh they're gonna take 5%. I said, where do you think that they're gonna take that money from?
Right. The tax
Do
man
you
still needs their money.
think you're
The
gonna take it
broker
out of
still
their
needs
own
their money.
income? Do you think it's gonna take it out of their marketing for you? Where do you think that money's gonna come from? That they're
Right.
taking from.
Well,
So
the tax man's getting theirs. The broker's getting theirs. The family, the agent's family, they still got to feed their family, right? So they're getting the money. So the only other part that's going to be hit is the marketing budget. So if they take 2%, are they still going to bring in a drone? Are they still going to bring in, you know, host open houses? What's their Facebook ad budget? You know, like, are they going to be making all the phone calls? By the way, if it's a busy agent, they've got a bunch of deals going on, and 95% of their deals, they're getting paid 3%, and yours, they're getting paid 2%. How likely are your issues going to be on the top of the stack? What do you think? Not your issues are not going to be on the top of the stack, because that's my opinion. You ask the question, do you think that your issues will be on the top of the stack? All right, I'm being summoned. You guys have a wonderful morning. Don't forget team meeting and Trout Masters today, okay? Have an awesome day. Ashley, fantastic job.
Thank you.